Alrighty. Do 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 do. Alright. I believe we are going. I believe we are. Is everything working? Awesome. Hello, everybody. Here, it's a little bit awkward at first because here I am I'm coming on a few minutes early to make sure that everything's working right technologically speaking. Yeah, it's always good to know that the video is actually working the way it's supposed to, where it's supposed to, and whatnot. So yes. Hello everybody, so if you are seeing this video, feel free to like it, to share, to post comments, to say hello. There are these weird windows that are showing up on Facebook, so don't mind me. But yes, if you're seeing this, feel free to say hello, let me know how you're doing, if you're excited about tonight's reading. In the meantime, I'm just going to double check that we are up and going. Alright, so everything is all set in the Facebook group where this is going to be airing. Not Facebook group, Facebook event page. I think I just want to check one more place to make sure we are good to go. So it's also on the Heart of the Story Facebook page as well. Fantastic. So, hello everybody. Again, if you are seeing this, feel free to say hello, to leave a comment, to like the video and start sharing it. Let me just close out of a couple other windows here. Okay, cool. So how's everybody doing? Hi, David. Nice to see you here. Awesome. Again, if there's anybody else, feel free to comment over the next couple of minutes before we get started. Let me see. So I think the last time I did a reading, I was set up at my dining room table. And tonight, I decided to come back to the bookshelves. So I've got my yoga mat and a cushion here. Got a cup of tea, finishing up a glass of water. Anybody have their evening beverages ready to go for relaxation, for ambiance? What else have I got here? Oh, the all-important binder of poems. So, I've already got them picked out for tonight, and I hope that you will all enjoy them. Let's see. All right. Hi, Aunt Sue. Yes, I'm glad that you're here too, David. I think you missed the one in the fall, right? I think that you were traveling for that one. Remember us talking about that before. All right. Well, it is 7 o'clock. I will check the comments one more time before we get started with the reading momentarily. But hello! Nice to see you here. As I said a moment ago, I got the live stream started a couple minutes early just to make sure that all the things on the technological side are working okay. And that's what it seems. So we're good to go. So tonight's reading is all about love. Literally, that's the title of it, but because it's a couple days after Valentine's Day, it seemed like a very appropriate theme to focus on love. But not just romantic love, because as we all know, there are all different kinds of love out there. So the poems I'm going to read tonight are a mix of poems I've written about romantic love, love for one's family, and self-love, which is really the most important love of all, I think. So again, if you are seeing this video, if you're just coming in and catching the live stream, hello. Nice to have you join us tonight. Feel free to like this video, comment on it throughout the reading, share it on your personal page. I probably won't have a chance to respond to comments individually until after the reading is over, because once I get started, I'll be a little bit occupied, I guess. And one last thing before we get started. So what we did last time with these readings is I opened up what I called a virtual pass the hat. If you've ever gone to a poetry open mic, sometimes what they do is to support the headlining poet and compensate them for their time and their work. People offer to pass a literal hat around for donations. So if you are interested in showing your support for my work and tonight's reading, in the description for this video, you should see links to 3 different websites: Ko-fi, Venmo, and PayPal. And if you would like to make a small donation of whatever feels comfortable for you, I would be deeply appreciated. You can use any one of those links that you feel comfortable using, and send it in anytime during the reading, anytime afterward, whenever. And as I said, any donations will be greatly appreciated. So, I think on that note, why don't we get started? So, the first poem I'm going to read for you tonight is one of my favorite poems to come back to at this time of year. And for a very surprising reason. It will make sense as this poem goes along. This is Gas Station Valentine. It need not happen on February 14th, nor need it be delivered with a dozen red roses, a box of chocolates, or a diamond necklace. It should, however, be proof that compassion can bloom in places we think can't be watered. A gas station, for instance, where the stench seeps into your clothes like secondhand smoke, and the dollars you spend siphon off your self-worth. A space so acrid and unclean, so rich with exhaust and morosity, that there couldn't possibly be room for such a burst of tenderness, a small act of humanity. Yet there it is, next to the pump's keypad, a post-it note, radiant in yellow, with a message written in black ink and smooth, careful print. And for a moment, all the odor and commotion of the world fall away, and all you're aware of are those 5 simple, unanticipated words. Words that blink back at you like your reflection in glass, and direct your gaze inward to the truth. Words that peel you open like spring on flower buds. Words that you know you should tell yourself more often. You are happy. You are you are beautiful. Happy V-Day. Yeah, that's a fun one. I always like coming back to that one. Very much for the surprise. All right, where is the next one on my list? Here it is. No, here it is. This one is called Beyond. What does it mean to travel beyond? Does one need to soar past the moon, the sun, toward the outer reaches of the universe? Should one look farther than the blurring boundaries between here and there, life and death, love and hate? Or do I simply need to look into your eyes? The pupils dark and star-spangled as the night sky, the irises warm and brown as earth, bursting with seeds of hope not yet sown, but already taking root in my mind. the gloss and wetness that aren't tears, but a doorway to liquid emotions. I didn't know what love was, didn't dare to believe it could step into my life the way you step over the threshold. But when you asked if it was possible for me to cradle your heart in my right hand and for you to hold my left, the world beneath my feet stilled as air and horizon spun around me, and the word yes had never been so easy and yet impossible to give. Now, here in this nest we have created with our arms, you face me and I you. And suddenly I see how we have become each other's suns, our lives the planets that circle each other on paths resembling a magician's linking rings. Or maybe we're riding the same orbit now that our galaxies have collided. Whatever the case, I know what I see, and I welcome the tidal pull of our embrace. How did I fall into this love? How can time stretch so long and yet run away from us? Does it even matter what beyond may be when I am already there and exploring it with you? This next poem is named after a geothermal area in southwestern Iceland, heading towards the Reykjanes Peninsula. But the poem is not necessarily about this geothermal area, as you will see. It's simply the setting for it. This is Krýsuvík, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Did you remember when you were there that 5 months earlier I had shown you photos from my visit? When you drove through the Blue Mountains, did you feel the gravity of my life ghost drawing you closer? Did the steep angle of the ascent and the jostling from the black gravel road tug on your fears as they had on mine? Did you notice how Kleifarvatn, the lake without rivers, followed you for miles? And when you arrived at the thermals, did you smell it? That wall of sulfur and rotten eggs so potent that you staggered backward a few steps. Was the soil still painted in gradations of rust, ochre, and goldenrod? Was the trail veering to the right still roped off? Did the mud pools bubble their hello? And did you answer with yours? Did you follow the echoes of my footprints along the wooden walkway and up the hillside, like you did along the streets of downtown Reykjavik, and wonder if I had seen what you were seeing? Did you know that snow and ice still limned these paths in April? Did you look down into the boiling water of the largest hot spring and catch a trace of my reflection from when I had stood in that same spot with my back to the railing, snapping a selfie? Did you, at the highest point, gaze out across the mountains and relish the same feeling of infinity, the same weightlessness? Did you know then that you loved me? One of the things that my boyfriend and I did quite a bit early on in the pandemic was making all different kinds of food, and especially during that first year, one of the things we made quite a few times was homemade ice cream. So this poem is sort of a tribute to that. It's called Peach Pie Ice Cream. It's 2 days after Thanksgiving, and my tongue salivates for something sweet. Not a warmed piece of leftover apple or pumpkin pie dolloped with whipped cream. Not the chocolate cookies with a swirl of Andy's mint candy on top, but your peach pie ice cream. I only have to reach into the freezer and tug off the container's cold purple lid to find this cache. My hands move independent from the rest of my body, grasping the ice cream scoop and gathering a meal's worth of frozen pale orange flecked with brown graham cracker crust. Spoonful after spoonful come bursts of summer sunshine and love at its ripest. Peaches and cream cheese, sweetness and tang, velvet and cool and complete, with the soft crumble of crust and the sparkle of cinnamon. And in the thick of this indulgence, I imagine you in your kitchen, pouring the chilled fruit and liquid mixture into the ice cream maker. I wasn't there the day you made this batch, but I had helped with the previous failure that used your old recipe and curdled on the stove. And Whedon couldn't stop sampling the cut peaches macerating in sugar and their own juices. And I still remember my first lick of this success after it had set. How you scooped and filled a ramekin for me. How I moaned in that delighted, childlike way as its flavors bloomed in my mouth. How you smiled and kissed my nose and then my lips. And now I know the aftertaste and the nostalgia are not what I will savor most. All right, so as I said before, tonight's poems are going to be a mix, or going to cover a few different kinds of love. And this next poem transitions away from the romantic poems that the first few pieces have touched on, into self-love. This was one of two poems I wrote a year and a half ago, as I was sort of exploring in the middle of my own self-love journey. This is called Self-Portrait of the Poet Looking at a Photo of Herself. Oh, and the picture that this poem is describing was taken at Logan Airport as my boyfriend and I were getting ready to not board a plane to Iceland, but check in before we went through security. But still. Look at my eyes, and how they sparkle like tumbled aventurine behind my glasses. Everyone says my eyes are the first thing they notice about me. So did my boyfriend when we finally sat down to talk about love. He still swears my irises are the colored of polished nickel. I disagree, but I won't deny that, when in just the right light and at just the right angle, they glow, soft and steady like the headlamps we'll both wear at the lava tunnel cave tour in a few days. But right here, right now, I am at the airport, waiting with him for our check-in desk to open, glasses sweetly tilted as I look at his camera, dark brown hair half up, half falling out of the matching elastic. One hand tugging down my magenta COVID mask so I can smile for the photo and for him. The other hand curled around the small of my back to reveal a peek of the opal promise ring he gave me 5 months ago. No pimples or chin hairs are visible, the freckles on my cheeks too small to see from this short distance, but it's clear from the heart blush on my cheeks and the vastness of my grin that I'm thinking about the upcoming trip and not my perceived imperfections. Behind me, the waiting area at Terminal E is dim, The announcement screens and white numbers at each closed desk blurred, almost impossible to read, as the girl in the mint green shirt, the girl who is me, reflects all of the room's light like the snow I'll see atop Snæfellsjökull in 1 week. Or perhaps I'm not reflecting light, but emitting my own, a beacon of my world and his, using lenses made of intuition that flash a message. Look at me. I am beautiful. That I am only now beginning to believe. All right. Here's another poem that's very much a self-love poem. I haven't read this one in a while. For those of you who have heard this one before, it's nicknamed the yoga poem. This is Learning to Be. My yoga teacher lights her candles, one for every chakra color. I watch them from my mat as I do every Monday night, sitting lotus, but not yet still. Work was a machine again today, and though my body left the office whole, my mind is still scattered, like beads from a broken bracelet, and the rest of me trembles in its rush to collect them. She invites us now to start with Anjali Mudra, hands pressed together over heart, and set an intention. My fingertips shudder like lightning, and my breath shallows, but I try. I want to be calm. I want to be at peace. And then we move from tabletop to cat-cow, downward dog to forward fold. At first, my balance wavers, the whispers in my head taunt and heckle, and I fall behind. Should I look up to watch my teacher? Try to mimic how she glides from pose to pose like a cloud shifting shape overhead, even though I will only fail? No, I have to trust this body. It's the only one I'll ever have. I rise to warrior two. My posture, I know, is stooped, my shoulders so high that they almost touch my ears. But I recognize, exhale, and adjust. And soon enough, the roots in my feet grow deeper. My arms lengthen into branches, and for the first time tonight, my abdomen, not my mind, is my center, firm and engaged like the tree trunk it should be. Gradually, every motion becomes instinct, every waking of my back, every twist of my torso, every lift of my legs and opening of my chest brings me back to earth, yet sweeps me skyward until I am no longer a woman mired in anxiety, but a cobra, a dolphin, an eagle, a sphinx, until I lie down for Shavasana, and there I find the truth. I am calm. I am at peace. Not because I want to be, but because I choose to be. All right, this next poem is not one I have read before at an open mic or a reading, so this poem is making its debut tonight. So it was published along with another poem in this magazine last year, Living Crew. And I wrote it, I wrote it and then sent it to this magazine because its audience is only women, and this is a poem that is about something that is hard for a lot of women, I think, to accept and love, and that is their own bodies. We tend to focus so much on what doesn't look perfect about our bodies, or what doesn't look right, or what isn't right about them, that sometimes we just forget that they might very well be, our bodies may be very well beautiful the way they are. So this is in the bath. Here, in the hotel bathtub, I am resting in water scented with coconut shampoo and Arctic thyme bath salts, rinsing myself in solitude, a river of reveling. My boyfriend has already washed my hair and my body, but that is not why I feel cleaner and newborn. Here, in this bathtub, I marvel at myself for the first time as an adult. Smooth, uncalloused feet with toenails painted the color of orchids, the purple of orchids. The thighs I've called thick and flabby, now weightless. My stomach softly sloping, a meadow of skin inclining toward the hills of my breasts. Slender arms with hands that hold love and fingers that give back. Now they wave from side to side so that gentle tides are slapping against porcelain, splashing my face, rippling, whispering. Here, in the bathtub, I let my body rise to the surface. Let my old fetal self unfurl my limbs and neck so my new eyes and freshened mind can see me as I glisten, as I glow. Here, a dam I never knew I had built bursts inside, and thoughts of blemishes, scars, spidering veins are swept out to sea as I caress this precious vessel that carries me. So, another kind of love that I wanted to read one or two poems from about tonight is family. And the first one I'm going to read, if I can find it. Oh, maybe it's this one here. A Strange Easter. Inspired by how my family and I spent Easter Sunday in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. It's Easter Sunday, and I'm alone in my dining room, Skyping with my parents and my brother over orange juice, black tea, and raisin bran with strawberries. It's nothing like the homemade carrot muffins or German apple pancake we would eat together in Mom and Dad's breakfast room during Easter's past, when it was safe for us to visit. But this year, safe means washing hands constantly, covering one's mouth and nose in public, and standing 6 feet away from each other. This year, in the time of COVID-19, safe means staying home, 70 miles away from my family. Our conversation goes as usual. How are you doing? I'm feeling well. You? Same here. The rest is nothing new either. Mom and Dad's projects around the house, my brother's upcoming virtual closing on his condo, my freelance editing work, the first daffodils to bloom in our yards. Yet this semblance of routine is punctuated by reminders of life upheaved. Did you wear your face mask at the grocery store? We'll leave takeout for you by the garage door. Will we get to celebrate Mother's Day together? And all the while, I wonder if I lied. I may be feeling well, but my longing to reach through the laptop screen and hug my father, kiss my mother, and riffle my brother's hair pulls like a sore muscle. Before I know it, the past rolls off my tongue. Remember when we were kids and we would come downstairs on Easter morning and read the Easter Bunny's message spelled out in fridge magnets, then hunt for the exact number of chocolate eggs mentioned in that note. My brother chuckles, says, "Yeah, I remember that." So do Mom and Dad, and the reminiscing resumes. And for a moment, the holiday returns to its jovial pastel self. Yes, it's a strange Easter. The distance between me and them has not changed, but we're together in our mirth, together in our remembrances, together in the tender ache for what was, and our gratitude for what still is. Okay, I'm looking at the time. I see that it's 7:27 Eastern. How about we do 2 more poems? So we probably will go a teeny bit past 7:30, but I want to make sure that I respect everybody's time, while making sure that you get what you're hoping to get out of tonight. So real quick, if there are any poets watching this who have taken a workshop with me before, a poetry writing workshop, and or haven't and would like to take one soon, my next one is open for registration. It's called Poetic Instructions for Living, and it's going to focus on writing another of my favorite poetic forms, instructional poetry. So that's going to be Wednesday, March 15th at 6 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. If you would like to sign up for that, there are a limited number of seats available for poets who want to come to the live workshop. So I put the registration link for that workshop in the description for tonight's video. So just look for the Poetic Instructions for Living part of the post, and click on the link to go to the Eventbrite registration page. And again, that's happening Wednesday, February 15th, 6 p.m. on Zoom. All right. So this next poem is also a one about family love. It's called Hydrangea Blossoms. This morning, my mother clipped 2 hydrangea blossoms for me, each one from a separate bush. She did this not on my request, but because she had asked. Would you like to take some hydrangeas home? Her blue eyes were blooming the way her plants burst forth with flowers, and as the question left her lips, it watered me as if with her handheld hose. Yes, the little girl inside me spoke with a grown woman's voice, because a wound of disappointment was festering in my chest, and my mother is the kind of mother whose body clenches with pain whenever she sees her children cry, no matter how old they are. So I followed my mother to the front yard, pointed out which blossoms were waving at me with their bold, bright heads. Without question, she snipped them with her scissors, gave them to me with her gardener's hands, and a face creased with hope. Back inside, she moistened a paper towel with water at the kitchen sink and laid it on a sheet of aluminum foil to wrap around the blossom stems for the 70-mile drive home. I held the bouquet again, and it dawned on me that one blossom was the radiant pink of sunrise, the other a deep twilight purple. And for a moment, my fragile heart broke open with such fullness, because my mother had given me a handful of sky. And isn't that what a mother does? Gifting her children the ordinary and the extraordinary all at once. All right. It is 7:30. As I said, we were going to do 2 more, but now we are down to the last poem of the night. So real quick reminder, if you would like to show your support for tonight's poetry reading, there are a couple of ways you can do that. In the description for this video, so in the post or the description text that you see, you have the option of submitting a voluntary donation of an amount that you feel comfortable sending. to one of 3 links that you feel comfortable sending to. So there are donation links available through Ko-fi, Venmo, and PayPal. So if you would like to show your support for tonight's reading and my work, again, you may send in a donation through either one of those links. Anytime you're watching this reading or anytime afterward, whatever works for you will be very much appreciated. So, this last poem goes back to the idea of romantic love. It is a fairly new poem, so for some of you, this may be one you're hearing for the very first time. I hope you have all been enjoying this reading, and so far. So this last poem is Fireflies in Tuscany. It's 10 p.m. on our last night in San Gimignano, and we have eaten enough pork sausage, peachy with tomato garlic sauce, and roasted vegetables that we could fall asleep. So we skip dessert and walk down the sloped back lawn as leisurely as the agriturismo's cows. The world, once beyond the reach of the terrace lights, mesmerizes in its darkness. The soft blades of grass tinted green-black, the pond water glinting silver from the moon, the stillness of the hills, country roads, and distant trees, now an undulating sea of shadow. And yet, everywhere we look, there is light. On the horizon, the towers of the Centro Storico seem candle-bathed. Clusters of the same yellow glow dot the landscape, marking villas and farmhouses. And above, the stars, so bright and clear that they must be alive. We stop at the split rail fence just before the steep drop into the olive grove, and as your arms envelop me from behind, I point into the night and say, "Look, don't all the lights above and ahead of us look like fireflies?" And we are silent for a moment, gazing at all the beauty one can see in the dark. And then you answer, "Wait, look down." And there are the true fireflies, hundreds of them in the olive grove below, sparkling so quickly that they cannot be real. They can only be those white Christmas twinklers, putting on a show they have rehearsed for each tourist just before they leave. And laughter effervesces out of me, because in their blinking there is truth. No matter how completely night cloaks the countryside, it will always be pinpricked with light. All right, thank you all so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed the reading. As I said before, I haven't really had a chance to look at people's comments since the reading began, but I'm going to take a look at them now and respond. As I said before, if you would like to attend my upcoming, be part of my upcoming poetry workshop, Poetic Instructions for Life, that's happening Wednesday, March 15th at 6 p.m. Eastern through Zoom. The registration link is in the description for this reading. And if you would like to send in a voluntary donation through Ko-fi, Zoom, Ko-fi, Venmo, or PayPal, you are more than welcome to do so, and it would be greatly appreciated. Those links are also in the description for this video. And just thank you. Thank you for asking to have more of these readings. I will do another one probably in April, in time with National Poetry Month. So stay tuned for news about when that is going to be happening. And keep loving poetry, keep supporting poetry, and I look forward to reading your comments shortly, and I will see you around, okay? Have a good night, everybody. Bye.